Footsteps in the attic. They say fear is in the mind. But what if it's not? What if it's real, right there with you? I moved into the old house on Cedar Lane because I wanted peace. A quiet place to finish my book without distractions. The house was cheap, too cheap for something so big, but I chalked it up to the owner wanting a quick sale. It was the kind of place with creaky wooden floors and a staircase that groaned under your weight. The attic door, with its rusted hinges, was smack in the middle of the upstairs hallway, directly outside my bedroom. I didn't plan on using the attic. I hated confined spaces. The first night was uneventful, aside from the occasional creak of the house settling. It wasn't until the second night that I heard them. Footsteps. I was lying in bed, scrolling on my phone, when I heard the faint, deliberate sound of footsteps above me. I froze. It couldn't be mice. These were heavy, purposeful steps, pacing back and forth in the attic. Grabbing a flashlight, I stepped into the hallway. The attic door loomed above me, slightly ajar. My chest tightened. I hadn't opened it. "Hellos," I called out, my voice shaking. The footsteps stopped. I stood there for what felt like hours, my flashlight pointed at the attic door. Nothing. Just silence. Finally, I convinced myself I was imagining things. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe the old wood was playing tricks on me. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. The next morning, I decided to check the attic. In daylight, I felt braver. I pulled down the ladder, wincing as it squealed like a wounded animal. The attic was cold, musty, and almost empty except for a few cobweb-covered boxes. But in the dust on the wooden floor, I saw them. Footprints. Bare human footprints, circling the attic. My stomach dropped. I wasn't imagining it. Someone had been up here. I told myself they'd probably left. Maybe some squatter had been using the attic before I moved in. Still, I called a locksmith and had every lock in the house changed. I told myself I was safe. That night, I wasn't. The footsteps returned. This time, they started earlier, as soon as I turned off the lights. They were faster, more erratic, like someone was running in circles above me. My heart pounded as I stared at the ceiling, clutching my phone. "Stop it!" I screamed. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, I thought I'd scared them off. But then I heard it, the ladder to the attic creaking as if someone was climbing down. I bolted from my bed, locking myself in the bathroom. I could hear the slow, deliberate sound of someone descending the stairs outside my door. "Who's there?" I whispered, clutching a pair of scissors I'd grabbed from the sink. There was no reply. Just breathing. Ragged, shallow breathing on the other side of the door. I didn't move. I stayed there all night, until the first rays of sunlight crept through the bathroom window. When I finally opened the door, the house was empty. I wanted to leave, but something kept me there. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was stupidity. Either way, I stayed. The final night in that house was the worst. I was lying in bed, exhausted, when I heard a voice. It was faint, like a whisper carried on the wind, but I could make out the words. "Come upstairs." I froze. It was coming from the attic. "Come upstairs." The voice was soft, almost childlike, but there was something wrong about it. Something cold and unnatural. Grabbing my flashlight, I forced myself into the hallway. The attic door was wide open, the ladder already lowered. I should have run, but instead I climbed. The attic was pitch black, my flashlight barely piercing the darkness. The air was thick, suffocating. "Hellos," I whispered. The ladder slammed shut behind me. My flashlight flickered, then died, plunging me into darkness. And then I felt it. Breath. Warm, rancid breath on the back of my neck. I spun around, swinging the flashlight like a weapon, but there was nothing there. Just darkness. And then, the voice came again. "You shouldn't have come up here." I ran, stumbling toward the ladder. My hands fumbled in the dark, searching for the latch. Behind me, the footsteps started again, slow at first, then faster, closing in. I screamed, throwing myself down the ladder. I hit the floor hard, pain shooting through my leg, but I didn't stop. I ran out of the house and didn't look back. I don't know what was in that attic, and I don't want to know. The house is still there, sitting empty at the end of Cedar Lane. But if you ever move in and you hear footsteps above you in the middle of the night, don't go upstairs. Some doors are better left unopened.